Is run out on the field. Some goofball in a hat and a red shirt. Now he takes off the shirt. He's running down the middle by the 50. He's at the 30. He's bare-chested and banging his chest. Now he runs the opposite way. He runs at the 50. He runs at the 40. The guy is drunk, but there he goes. The 20. They're chasing him. They're not going to get him. Waving his arms. Bare-chested. Somebody stop that man. Oh, they got him. Oh, they got him. They're coming from the left. Oh, they got him. Bang, bang, bang in his chest. Bang, bang. The guy is drunk.
Welcome to Fantasy and Chill Week 9. I'm your quarterback, Ryan Keller. Joining me tonight, just producer Matt.
Just me. Ethan's out there voting. I'm hoping. That's his only excuse. I'm hoping. I ain't joking.
Veto in that Mito, or not veto. Veto in that Mito.
I guess you could veto if you want. I don't know what you'd be vetoing, but you can veto. That's his right.
It is his right. No, I think he had. He's voting, and I think his kid had t-ball practice, right?
I think it's just his kid had t-ball practice. I don't think he's voting.
But he could be voting now.
Yeah.
Who knows?
He'll be one of us out of the podcast at least.
Yeah. So we're gonna come with you tonight with a little quick recap of Week 9, hitting a little bit of Week 10 coming up. So let's get started like we always do with our
Fantasy Studs.
I'm on point. That's 2 weeks in a row.
That was good. First fantasy QB stud is Drew Brees. 25 of 36, 346 yards, 4 touchdowns, also 4 rushes for 16 yards. And, well, I'll go ahead and say our other fantasy stud was his opponent in his game, Jared Goff, who was 28 of 40, 391 yards, 3 touchdowns with 1 interception. Also added 3 carries for 17 yards and a 2-point conversion. The reason I'm just going to say both of them at the same time is this was the biggest over-under of the season so far at 60, and I think they scored 80, right? Somewhere around there?
Yeah, they almost hit the total in the third quarter, so.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
The total was what, 59, 60?
It was 60. So both of these guys did exactly what we expected them to do. They threw the ball all over the place. They combined to throw it 76 times. I mean, does this have any fantasy implications moving forward, or is that just about what we expect of these guys at this point?
Well, of course it has fantasy implications. The implication was that fucking Drew Brees killed me this week, and he was probably, him and one of our other fantasy studs were the reasons that I lost. Because they happened to play for the same team, and the guy I'm playing against had both of them.
But
so,
he's out of it, Matt. His season.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'll get into that a little later. Don't worry.
His game shouldn't have counted. He should be automatic loss from here on out, according to some people.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know Jared Goff made our stud list because I guess you changed it. So I don't know if we still have the other. Oh, well, then I just read it wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But yes, Drew Brees and Jared Goff both going off. See how I rhyme that there?
Yeah.
Golfing off.
That's the kind of quality you get with this podcast, you know.
Exactly. Can't get this anywhere else. Is there really anything else to say about that? I mean, they're both guys must starts every week.
I will say.
Big numbers. What are you gonna say?
There is actually a big. This game was actually huge for Rams owners, and specifically Gurley, because since the Rams lost, they won't necessarily have the number 1 seed locked up. So you might not see them sitting their players.
So that's longer you get to play Gurley.
Exactly.
So if you're a Gurley owner, you secretly probably enjoyed this.
Yeah, because
Gurley did have his lowest total of the season, right?
Was it? I can check real quick.
Remember, his previous low was 23.2. He had 16.9.
Oh, you're hating it.
God.
We will be talking about our drops later, so don't be surprised if you see Gurley on there.
Yeah. Might want to drop him. Blake, if you're listening, you should drop him.
So I know we've probably talked about this just real quick. Has Gurley had a week yet where he hasn't scored? I don't think he has.
He did score. So.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying.
No, he scored it. He had to have scored every week.
Yeah, he has. Oh, especially with I didn't even think about the numbers he's been putting up. So yeah.
Yeah. So no surprises this week with our QB studs. Two guys that is Drew Brees. I'm sure he's back into top 10 territory now after that game because I know he was, 12 before that?
I can check.
See real quick. I got it right here.
It says he's number 5.
Number 5.
So, yeah, he jumped up quite a bit.
Yeah, he's number 5 and Jared Goff's number 3. So, yeah, just as you expected out of those two. Let's go to our fantasy stud running backs.
See, I
Another
thought
two guys that are top 5 guys. First guy is Kareem Hunt. 17 carries for 91 yards and 2 touchdowns. Also added 1 catch for 50 yards and 1 touchdown. So ever since about week 4 or 5, he has really kicked it into high gear.
Yeah.
Because he started out the year, I mean, he was good at the beginning of the year, but he just wasn't anything too special. But since week 6, he's gone 30, 34.6, 17, and then another 34.6.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He's been going off lately, and also you can kind of see it's tied in with Tyreek Hill. He hasn't fallen off, but he hasn't had those big weeks.
Fallen off. He just hasn't had a big week in a while.
Yeah. Well, I think 3 weeks ago he had like a 15-point week, if I remember correctly. But if you remember, like the first 2 games of the season, Tyreek Hill was just catching those bombs. Like that's all they were doing, just throwing bombs at Tyreek Hill. And Kareem Hunt, you didn't really need him, but
the thing I love about Kareem Hunt is that he's got a game script proof, because if they're up, they're going to give him some carries. If they're down, which they're never down, but let's say they are down and need to come back, he's going to get a ton of catches out of the backfield. So, I mean, he's one of Mahomes' favorite check down. He only had 1 catch this game, but it was for 50 yards and a touchdown. So, Kareem Hunt's a guy that you definitely want, and I mean, he's a top 10 guy just of any position going forward that you want leading you to your championship.
For sure.
Which is why I tried to get him all season.
Well, before we go to our next guy who you also tried to get, Kareem Hunt is playing the Cardinals next week, so don't be surprised if you see a 40 burger out of him, because Arizona
I'm hoping
is
Mahomes
terrible.
Gets me a 40 burger.
Yeah, that's what happened to Mahomes. I thought he made the fantasy studs list.
No.
Yeah, well,
he was like 4th.
I'm gonna bring up the text that I got because Mahomes would maybe I just because we were talking about him on Sunday.
We talked about it when you were over here Sunday, but remember it was like halfway through the afternoon games, and I was like, so far these are our studs.
Yeah.
And, the Rams Saints game wasn't over yet.
Well, I think it's worse.
They both passed up Matt Ryan and Mahomes.
I'm just trying to give your boy some more props, you know.
I mean, he was still 4th. He's still the number 1 quarterback by a shit ton.
A shit ton.
A shit ton.
That is a lot of shit. Oh, I guess he did say Goff. I don't know. I penciled in Mahomes for some reason.
You were just expecting.
Yeah. I will say, you know, since I already have some stats written about him, this was Mahomes' 8th straight 300-yard game, 1 away from the record, tied with Drew Brees, got that twice.
Right now, his season that he's putting up is second only to Tom Brady's 2007 record-breaking season.
You've been visiting the Reddits.
Well, I just know things, Matt. I don't go to Reddit.
You drink and you know things?
Yeah. We talked about that lead he has on number 1. He is the number 1 quarterback by 47.6 points.
Who's that, Mahomes?
That's Mahomes. Matt Ryan is your number 2 quarterback.
Yeah.
47.6 points behind him.
Quietly. We haven't talked about Matt Ryan. Has he made the studs list yet?
He was on the studs list. I have them all right here. Let's see. Week 5, week 4. He was on week 3 stud list.
Okay. He's quietly having like a really good season.
Yes. Very good for Matt Ryan. I believe I said at the beginning I expected him to have a good bounce back season, but I mean, I think a lot of people said that because he was pretty bad last year. So
I'll give Ethan credit too. I think Ethan said he was going to have a really good season as well.
In fact, I have our rankings right here. Love how I just have everything sitting here ready.
But you just got to shuffle through 50 papers.
I had Matt Ryan number 10.
I don't know if I even had him ranked, to be honest.
No, you didn't have him ranked. Ethan had him
what
number
an
7.
idiot. Okay.
You and Austin both had him unranked.
Well, that's why Austin got kicked off. You have to have me on here, so.
I guess.
All
All right, our second running back stud that we kind of teased a little bit earlier was Alvin Kamara. His stat line was very similar to Kareem Hunt's. 19 carries for 82 yards and 2 touchdowns, 4 catches for 34 yards and a touchdown. And I think the encouraging thing here is that I know that first game back for Ingram, we were all like, oh no, Ingram's eating into it a lot more than we thought. Kamara has an off game. Yep. But that was obviously just a one-game thing, and this is clearly Kamara's backfield. Ingram is just an afterthought. Kamara is the stud, top 5 running back, going to keep pushing the whole year.
Yeah. This is another one, I won't say I got wrong, but I was leaning, I was on the fence. I thought Kamara could either like fall off a little bit, maybe towards like the bottom 10 of the running backs, but he just proved me wrong, and it pisses me off even more that he just killed me this week, and he shouldn't even be on the team that I was playing against. And I would not let that down. I think I made a post on it on our Instagram page a while back that trade got vetoed. I'm going to say it again. Only veto trades if it's collusion.
Which, that's a whole nother discussion for that trade. But
yeah,
you're kind of lucky because we were sitting there watching the game, and he scored those first 2 touchdowns in like the first 10 minutes, and I was like, Kamara's about to put up 40 or 50 points, and he slowed down big time after that. He still put up, I think, 34.
He only put up 33, so
it could have been a lot worse, though.
Yeah, but the thing that's so good about him is, so with most games, you're gonna have like a linebacker on a running back or something. You can't. That's like putting a linebacker on a receiver that can run the ball. It's just you're not gonna have a good time.
Can you imagine if we would have played them last year and like we would have tried to cover him with Brian Cushing?
Oh god! Well, even you saw what McKinney was doing this past game. McKinney couldn't guard a fat ass tight end. Yeah. So I was gonna say, would you say Kamara is the number 2 back right now, or do you have someone ahead of him?
Gurley's number 1.
It would be between maybe Hunt or Gordon.
I think for the rest of the year, give me Kareem Hunt.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to say better offense, but it's kind of hard to say that when Kamara's on the Saints.
And Saints, Chiefs, and Rams, top 3 running backs right there, top 3 offenses.
Yeah.
I think that I would rather have Hunt and Kamara over Gordon the rest of the year just because Gordon's been banged up. And I mean, he's still good.
Gordon had a solid game again. Over 100 yards, touchdown. Shoot. It was over 20, I'm almost sure.
Okay, let's go to our receivers. Our number 1 wide receiver fantasy stud was also in that old shootout. Wide receiver Michael Thomas, 12 catches for 211 yards and a touchdown. So this was the Michael Thomas you saw week 1 and week 2. Just a reception and target monster, over 200 yards, got the long touchdown. I mean, he's a stud. What more can you say about him?
Yeah, single-handedly won a game for probably not just the guy in our league that owns him, Austin, but probably many people. Had the Saints single-game record for receiving yards. Caught a 72-yard bomb. Pulled out the cell phone.
Nice Joe Horn tribute.
Yeah, when they said Joe Horn, do you know who I thought of instantly?
Yeah, I know.
We'll get into it, but
if you want to know about Joe Horn we're talking about, y'all can just Google like Pasadena, Texas, Joe Horn. It's a pretty interesting story.
I had to make sure they were named the same, like there's the same name.
Yeah, it was.
You can listen.
If you want to check that out, there's even like a good video with the 911 call, I think. So
it's kind of fucked up because I think both the guys died, didn't they?
The guys he shot?
Yeah.
Probably. We're not going to get into this because it'll start a political argument. But
perfect.
Long story short, some guys that maybe, but based on your opinion of the matter, maybe should or should not have been in this country. They broke into a person's house in a neighborhood right next to ours. Old guy was at home, saw him breaking in. Cops told him not to do anything. He said, fuck that, grabbed a shotgun, went out, shot both of them.
I don't know why I'm laughing, but it's just the phone call.
Black Panthers and not Malcolm X. What's the guy's name down here?
Quano?
Quanell X showing up in the neighborhood and protest. Like, it was good stuff. Just check it out on the internets.
Yeah, but Michael Thomas.
Yeah, Michael Thomas, hell of a receiver, hell of a guy.
I was gonna say real quick for those that are scared of because at the beginning of the year Rams defense. Well, that too. I would be scared of that. Those that are scared, that were scared when your receiver's going against the Rams defense. Apparently, Marcus Peters is not that good in coverage.
Terrible. He's ranked like I can't remember the stat I saw, but he's like bottom 4 in most of the coverage stats.
I wrote it down actually. He's the worst in yards allowed and touchdowns, and he has a 144 passer rating when he's been targeted. Or the quarterbacks do.
Some of that has to do with the teams that are playing them are always down and throwing the ball, but still, that's not good for a guy that.
But the passer rating,
maybe the best cover corner in the league. So.
Yeah.
Not good.
Not good. Don't be afraid of him.
Next wide receiver stud. Finally, we get a surprise here after 5 regular studs in a row.
Really?
We have first guy we've said this guy's name on the podcast this year.
Maybe ever.
We might have said it last year during a waiver wire segment or something.
Maybe.
But Adam Humphries, 8 catches for 82 yards with 2 touchdowns. Those Bucs receivers, man, you never know. They're coming out of nowhere because they got Fitzmagic.
He's back.
He's back.
I don't have the music queued up this time.
Yeah. You could. There's a lot of Magic songs you could play.
Yeah, probably. You're a music guy.
Do we want to talk about Humphries now, or do we want to wait for waiver wire?
We'll talk about him now because I'll probably forget everything by waiver wire, and have the rest of this whiskey to finish, so it might not be good later.
So what do you think? What do you think about Adam Humphries? You like him? Just a flash in the pan?
I wouldn't say he's a flash in the pan because he's had a pretty. So I'm gonna mention Willie Snead a lot this podcast, but he is the Willie Snead of the Bucs.
Except he caught touchdowns.
Oh yeah. Okay, fair. I think was this his first time? Well, this. Yeah. Okay. These were his first 2 touchdowns of the season. So, other than that, he's just had a solid floor.
I'll say in his last 5 games, he has 38 targets. Pretty good.
Yeah. And with the way the Bucs have been playing, you know they're gonna have garbage touchdowns because they get down by a lot. And we were talking about this on Sunday. They always find a way to come back in the 4th quarter.
Isn't it amazing how many fantasy relevant guys they've had this year?
Fantasy relevant or just borderline? I guess it would be fantasy relevant.
Evans, who's a stud. Deshaun Jackson has been top 20 wide receiver this year.
Yeah, but it's all their wide receivers.
Now, O.J. Howard's a top 10 tight end. Cameron Brate can always score a couple touchdowns.
Yeah.
Fitzpatrick
is actually like
on the waiver wire
good
a few
QB.
times.
Yeah, but none of their running backs.
None of the running backs. But if you're a pass catcher in that offense, you're going to have a good game at least once.
That's the thing. Their defense is so shit that they just have to throw the ball a ton. And they might throw like 3 picks a game, but...
And they will.
And they will. Time has proven that they will throw picks.
But they're going to keep throwing the ball, which is what you want.
Yeah. So, that's a guy...
Yeah, I had to make...
go ahead.
Sorry, what?
No,
moving on.
Yeah, move on.
Okay. I had to make a 3rd wide receiver fantasy stud this week just because of who it was. He has maybe dominated this podcast the last 2 years as far as most times we mention their name. But we have Josh Gordon, 5 catches for 130 yards, added the late. How long was that touchdown? Probably like 47, 48 yards, 50 yards?
Something like that. I think it was around 40 to 50 yards, yeah.
But Josh Gordon finally had his coming out party with the Patriots. I think this is honestly something you can expect going forward. Lots of targets, maybe some deep touchdowns. Brady targeted him deep a few times. He just couldn't bring him in. What do you think? Is this guy a must start the rest of the season?
It definitely helped that Gronk wasn't playing. I'll say that. Michelle wasn't playing, so you don't have that running back, the solid running back. James White got hurt for a few plays, so it kind of worked out in his favor. But yeah, he's a borderline wide receiver 2. Yeah, That's what I was gonna say. Flex wide receiver 2 area.
Yeah.
He gets a lot of I think he's top 10 in air yards per target. So they're just throwing the ball deep.
If you have him as your wide receiver 2, I'd feel pretty confident going forward that he's going to put up good enough numbers to warrant that spot. So.
Yeah, and why do we always talk about him when Ethan's not on the podcast?
I know. I feel like every time we have good Josh Gordon news, Ethan isn't here to talk about.
Here you go, Ethan. This is for you.
The nut button.
There you go.
And that was his owner right there.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even think about that.
He had
he
him
also,
and Michael Thomas.
Yeah, Josh Gordon saved his ass this week.
In our league, the last place person beat the undefeated team. So, yeah, that was
Anything
Austin.
can happen.
Everybody here knows Austin.
Yeah. If you've been watching since the early season, I feel sorry for you. You know Austin.
Matt, your tight end made the stud list again. We have Travis Kelce, 7 catches for 99 yards and 2 touchdowns. And me and Matt were teaming up on Sunday. Mahomes to the Kelce connection. We were loving that.
The Kelce connection, okay.
Because I was playing. Actually, the person I was playing didn't even have a Chief to throw to, but I was taking some Kelce touchdowns for you, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's because you didn't want Sammy to score touchdowns to prove you wrong twice in a row.
How many points did Sammy have this week?
I'll find out.
I can find out too. I have those capabilities.
I trust my sources.
I got it right here.
Okay, we'll go ahead then.
He had 8.9. Not terrible.
I'm showing 11.4. This site must have different.
Well, I'm using our league settings. I'm on our league.
So yeah, I mean that's been around his average, I'd say. But back to my boy.
I'll tell you that.
Back to my boy Travis Kelce.
Okay, let's hear it.
We can just pencil him in the rest of the year if you want. As
well,
a
he's
fantasy
the number 1 tight end, and it's not even close. So
yeah, he's had. I just wanted to see how good he's been the entire year. Obviously, he's been good, but he's had 5 weeks as a top 3 tight end. So that's
pretty good.
He's solidifying my pick, which I think was the 4th round, 3rd round.
3rd round.
So yeah, he's been a solid wide receiver if you just drafted him as a wide receiver overall. So as a tight end, he's been
him
good.
Before you took a wide receiver.
That's true. I did. I didn't even think about that. he's been better than my wide receiver. Yeah, but see, so it makes up for it in a way, though.
I mean, I guess. Okay, I also had to throw in a defense special teams this week because the Bears
other boys
went off. They had 3 interceptions, 1 fumble recovery, 4 sacks, only 9 points against, and 2 touchdowns. And Matt, why did they score all these points?
The Peterman effect.
Because they were playing the Buffalo Bills, starting Nathan Peterman.
Yes.
Which is why the top pickup this week will be the Jets defense.
That's kind of crazy to think, but yeah. Will they start Nathan Peterman again, though?
I don't really think it matters who they start, to be honest.
No, they don't have anyone.
Did you know that he threw 3 interceptions and his touchdown to interception percentage, or his interception percentage went down?
Did it really?
Yeah, because he had so many attempts that he went 3 for whatever in interceptions, and his interception percentage for his career actually went down.
That's terrible. At some point, you just... I think I say every week, but Colin Kaepernick is available. Jesus. Other people are available.
Nobody's signing him.
No one is.
Tom Savage is available.
There is talks that, I don't know if they signed Terrell Pryor yet, but they were looking at him that he might actually play some QB for the Bills.
They did sign him. He was on the field.
Was he? Okay. Then yeah, they might use him some more this week as a QB.
He hasn't played quarterback in 4 years.
I'm sure he could play better than Peterman has.
I think I could play better.
At least you can run some wildcat formation, or would it even be wildcat at that point? I don't know.
It's like some read option.
Yeah. But I was gonna, if you could guarantee me that one player, I guess, position you'd start the past week to get 20 points, I probably would have picked the Bears. The Bears even. And that was without Khalil Mack too. Just imagine if they had him.
It would have been even more.
It could have been terrible. What already
Okay,
was.
so that's it for our studs this week. A lot of the normal names, a few new ones, but fantasy football's been pretty chalk this year. So as
Yeah,
far as just the
surprisingly.
studs balling out.
Well, we say chalk. Mahomes has made it quite a bit, but ever since he's made it pretty
Right,
consistently.
he was a stud week 1, and he's been the #1 guy the whole season. So.
And Goff's been pretty good the whole season too. So.
All right, let's get to a few things to talk about for the week coming up. The teams on bye that you need to be aware of. We have the Denver Broncos on a bye, so that's Phillip Lindsay and Emmanuel Sanders are probably the only 2 guys you're starting in that game.
Cortland Sutton. He didn't do too bad last week.
Well, shit, Hireman, if you got him.
Oh, yeah. I was surprised he didn't make the waiver list.
Well, he's on a bye, so.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
He's not one of those guys that you have to, like,
you have to pick up this week. Yeah. I feel you.
The Vikings are on a bye, so that's Kirk Cousins, Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs, Dalvin Cook, who had a good first game back.
Surprise! I did not know he was going to get that many carries.
Since I started Latavius Murray one last time.
He got you that fluke no, not really a fluke touchdown, but a touchdown.
I had Kyle Rudolph, so I had the touchdown either way. So.
Yeah. For those that didn't watch the game, Latavius fumbled kind of right at the goal line. I'm just going to explain to him. He fumbled right at the goal line, and Kyle Rudolph recovered it. And they actually gave the touchdown to Kyle Rudolph, but later changed it back to Latavius Murray.
So lucky for me, it didn't end up mattering. But if it would have stayed with a Rudolph touchdown, Rudolph was my starting tight end, so I didn't lose the touchdown. But a lot of people would have been really pissed off right there.
Yeah. Or they might be pissed off now because they had Rudolph.
I had Rudolph and not Murray. I just happened to have both of them. So it would have worked out either way for me.
What do you know? People are going to be pissed in fantasy.
Well, that's true. They were pissed at Todd Gurley for only scoring 36 last week. So.
It's true.
The Baltimore Ravens are on a bye, so
no one you're starting.
Maybe Alex Collins, who's actually had some good weeks recently.
Yeah.
Probably no one else.
John Brown, maybe if you. I don't know. I was going to talk about them a little later. Yeah.
And then our Houston Texans. So that's Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Hopkins, Lamar Miller, maybe Demaryius Thomas.
Akins had touchdowns back-to-back games.
That was Thomas 2 games ago.
Oh, well, yeah. It was. Well, Thomas scored this past game, too. Sorry, I meant Thomas. Wrong tight end.
It was Thomas then. Thomas has 3 touchdowns in his last 2 games.
Yeah. So, Thomas. And that's probably it.
Some big names on those teams, but not a lot of depth as far. Besides the Vikings, not a lot of fantasy starters on those teams. But there are some big names there with Deshaun and DeAndre.
Oh, for sure.
Let's talk about a couple of these trade deadline acquisitions. We were curious to see how they'd be used on their new teams. How about Amari Cooper? 5 catches for 58 yards and a touchdown.
You got that Cooper.
Did you watch that touchdown?
I watched it. Was it not? It was at like it's pretty short, wasn't it?
It was right at the beginning of the game. Yeah, it was like 5 yards, but it was funny because like he hiked the ball, and like Dak knew the entire time like I'm forcing this ball to Amari Cooper. He just stared him down, made his break, gave him the ball for a touchdown. It's like they were proving a point, like, hey, it's all right, we gave up this first rounder, but look, he scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Well, it seems that's like what a lot of teams do too, is that they trade for a guy and they want to like just use him right away. And you saw it with the Texans too. We'll talk about him in a second. But still, Cooper, like, he scored the touchdown, but are you really?
He had some nice catches over the middle. They just didn't throw him the ball enough.
The sad thing is he led the entire team in like all receiving categories, like receptions, receiving yards. I think target. He had 58 yards and he led the team.
I think I saw that Ezekiel Elliott had 96 yards in the first half, and they just stopped giving him the ball in the second half.
It's like, how long will Jason Garrett just keep
gone after the season?
Well, as I was driving down here, the Blitz, the local radio show, was talking about like how like Jerry Jones just loves Garrett because he's his puppet. That's all he is. Like, he might not win any games, but he's just gonna do whatever Jerry says. So
and for those that are curious, Jason Garrett was my Halloween costume this year. So
yeah, maybe I can post it on Fantasy and Chill, or a story maybe. If you allow,
I said I look pretty much like him with my red hair, so
will you give up the rights to that picture?
I will give up the rights to that picture.
Okay.
But I want royalties from any profits.
Okay, so what's any percent of 0? That's what you get.
Yeah. I want 100% of the profits.
Okay, well, you got it.
How about the other trade deadline acquisition? Our Texans getting Demaryius Thomas. He had 3 catches for 61 yards. I like the way they used him at the beginning. I think we were sitting here and we called the first drive. I was like, well, Lamar Miller run up the middle. And then I said it was going to be the second play, but the first pass play ended up being a screen to Demaryius Thomas, which was just – that's the play that he kind of runs the most. We hit him 3 times on the first 2 drives, and then we just said, okay, enough of that. Because Bill O'Brien just – golly, I don't even want to get back to his play calling because we were just run up the middle, run up the middle, run up the middle, run up the middle. But I think we saw if they use him correctly, Demaryius Thomas is going to be a huge plus for this offense.
Yeah. That's okay. I was going to say, is this the obligatory part where we bash on the Texans? Because I'm going to bash on the Texans a little bit. Like, you saw, okay, that screenplay we ran with them obviously worked. What was it, for like 20-something yards? Or what?
Like 25 yards,
yeah. And we didn't go back to him the entire game. I don't understand. And we made fun of Bill O'Brien. Like,
Alfred blew up the middle every single fucking first down for 2 yards. They need to throw that Demaryius Thomas screen and that DeAndre Hopkins screen because, like, even when
it's better than a run,
it still gets like 6 yards.
Yeah. And those
guys can both break that off at any time.
I actually did some research at work, so hopefully no one from my work was listening because I was being very unproductive. But so I'll give O'Brien a little credit. We didn't run the ball on first down as much as I thought. I thought we ran the ball on first down like 90% of the time. It was probably more like
just that stretch in the second half when we really started paying attention to it, and it was like every first down in the fourth quarter.
Oh, well, definitely. Well, I think there was one time in the fourth quarter where we didn't run it on first down, and that's because it was 1st and 15.
Because we got
probably a false start on one of our linemen. So, but the first half we actually did throw it quite a bit on first down, maybe like 30%. We threw it, and that's when we were scoring. That's when we were scoring points, though. Like, it doesn't make sense. We scored
I don't think it's as much as the run up the middle. It's letting Alfred Blue run a halfback dive.
Yeah.
Like, just running straight up the middle with Alfred Blue. I don't understand.
Okay, well, fine. Run Alfred Blue up the middle, which is what his strong suit is, I guess, if you're considering him a big back. But then run Lamar Miller on the outside. We don't do that. We just run him up the middle, too. It doesn't make sense.
Doesn't matter, Matt.
Doesn't matter. We're about to win our division, so
6-3, first place in the AFC South.
God, we are just, like I said in the text, we are a shitty version of the Patriots.
We're not a very good team, but we are going to win 10 or 11 games because our schedule is absolute garbage.
Yeah, schedule's garbage, division's garbage,
NFL's garbage.
NFL garbage. And speaking of our division, I think the next guy we're talking about is in our division.
Finally looking like he will be back this week. Leonard Fournette is probable. So that throws a big question mark into that whole Jaguars running back situation because TJ Yeldon,
if there wasn't one already,
TJ Yeldon has been solid filling in for Leonard Fournette, and for some reason they decided to also acquire Carlos Hyde.
Yeah, so they trade for Carlos Hyde, and you think, oh, like, well, it's either going to be Yeldon or Hyde that goes off. And then they give Hyde 6 carries this past game. It's okay, first of all, why did you trade for Hyde if you're only going to give him 6 carries? And then Yeldon gets, what, 2 carries, I think? I mean,
that's pretty bad, too.
I mean, yeah. But I
guess my question is,
who?
Would you feel confident starting Leonard Fournette this week?
I haven't looked at the schedule yet. Do you know who they're playing?
They are playing.
They're playing Indy. So Indy doesn't have a great defense. I hate starting players straight off an injury. And Fournette has yet to finish a game this year. Yeah. But if you if you're someone in your league who has all 3 Jacksonville running backs.
Wait, is there one of those guys in our league?
Oh no, there might be. His name might be Austin. Then I think I'm starting. You have to start Fournette if he's playing.
Oh, I'm taking a peek at Austin's team because he's already messed with his depth chart for this week, and he has plugged Leonard Fournette in. So, looks like Leonard Fournette will be starting.
I mean, if Fournette's playing, I think you have to start him.
Yeah,
but you're not confident in it. But you wouldn't be confident in starting Carlos Hyde or Yeldon either.
Oh, you wouldn't even start them at all. Like, wouldn't even
exactly.
consider.
Yeah.
Leonard Fournette's the only guy you're even considering starting. But
So,
with the way running backs are this year, you probably don't have 2 better guys. that are
exactly.
better than Leonard Fournette. So
You drafted Fournette what, first or second round?
Second.
So he's been stashed on your bench this entire year.
You have to play
You
him.
have to play him, I think. Yeah.
One thing I was going to ask you this week that I forgot, or not this week, just right now that I forgot, was the 2 guys we just talked about, Amari Cooper and Demaryius Thomas. Which one would you
Okay.
rather have the rest of the season?
Ooh. I'm glad you brought that up because I do some research at work, as I mentioned.
Yeah, we
and
know.
I did some.
You don't do real work. You do this. It's all right. I do some research too. Just working on assignments.
God, I hope they're not listening. But I looked up some stats that I wanted to bring up. And first, answering your question, I think I'd rather have Demaryius Thomas because I think obviously they have the better offense.
I'm in agreement there, but it might be a little biased. But
No, I don't think it. Well, obviously we're biased, but I don't think it factors in that as much as we think. Like I was looking, Dak's only thrown for 275 yards or more once the past 2 years, the past 2 seasons, this season and the last. So there's not a lot of yards there to begin with.
terrible in today's NFL.
Yeah, and when you consider how much they use Zeke too, or not use Zeke the second half, like you said, it's just I'd rather have. I don't know. Thomas has a better ceiling, I think. And you said you agree as well.
Yeah, barely.
Barely. Though I'll give Dallas credit. I mean, Cooper is the best option they have there, but I'd rather have the second best option in Houston than the best option in Dallas.
Yeah, exactly. All right, what were you gonna say? Were you gonna say something before that?
That I don't do work at work. Was that?
Yeah. Okay.
That was
last
it.
thing we're gonna kind of hit on right here. We already talked about it when we talked about Kamara, but about that first game that Ingram was back, we are a little worried about Kamara. But in this shootout game where Ingram they were up 35-14, so he could have tried to ice the game away with a bunch of carries. These were the running back touches for New Orleans. Kamara had 23 touches. Ingram only had 10. So just kind of nailing home that point that this is Kamara's backfield, and Ingram, I mean, he might be done kind of after this year.
That's what there was talks on Reddit about this. I was browsing through the subs, and I'll ask you the question everyone was kind of asking on there. Would you have confidence in starting Ingram every week?
Me?
Yeah.
With my running back situation, yes.
Well, yeah. Okay. Well, as someone who's starting Peyton Barber this week, I think you'd be confident in starting anyone at your running back besides him. But
no, I would not be confident starting Mark Ingram.
And it's kind of crazy because what was he, a top 10 running back last year? Top 15?
Top 10 last year, with Kamara also being a top 10.
Yeah.
The bad thing is, not even like Kamara's going to get his, but when they get down the goal line, they love putting Taysom Hill in there.
Yeah, and that's what we kind of talked about earlier. Is like Taysom Hill's stealing not only plays from Drew Brees, but also both the running backs because he doesn't pitch it off very often. He just kind of takes it himself. I think this was the first time Kamara's had that many touches with Ingram the past 2 years. So like you mentioned before, it's definitely they're moving towards Kamara more than Ingram.
Okay, before we get to our waiver claims, let's go through some guys that I think you should feel pretty safe in dropping. Drop. I forgot we had that drop.
Yeah, I don't use it much, but we're using it now.
First guy is a guy that Matt actually dropped this week, I believe, maybe last week. Geronimo Allison. We'll talk about why you should feel good dropping him here in a minute. Well, actually, they confirmed earlier. They moved him to the IR. He's having surgery.
Yeah.
Geronimo Allison's done, so you can drop him.
Yep.
Fuck Allen. He hasn't done shit in a while. You can probably drop him. I mean, he hasn't. His only thing he was doing was scoring touchdowns. He hasn't scored a touchdown in a while. Alex Collins has actually been getting into the end zone. They traded for Ty Montgomery, so if something does happen to Collins, Montgomery's probably the guy they're going to feature more anyway. So,
yeah,
Allen, you can drop.
And you saw like Gus Edwards got a carry too. Like, who the hell is that? Like they have. I think we talked about it a little bit. Like, why does Harbaugh just not want fantasy relevant people on his team?
They were talking about he might be done in Baltimore after this year.
Really? Because they were like, maybe like 3 games ago, you thought Baltimore might win that division. And they still might, honestly, because that division's kind of a shit show.
There's just nothing like fun about that team.
Oh, there's not, but that's how the Texans were a few years ago, and they kept winning somehow.
Okay, next guy on the list is Robbie Anderson. His only value is with the deep ball, and I think I saw that Sam Darnold's passer rating throwing the deep ball is like 44 or something. Like he just can't get the ball out deep.
Yeah.
Quincy Enunwa was back from injury, so Robbie, you would never start Robbie
He
Anderson.
should have been dropped a few weeks ago, honestly. Hasn't had a game.
Far cry from the guy that was really good, surprisingly, last year. And I remember at the end of last year, we talked about guys that could maybe sneak in top 20 this year, and I think Robbie Anderson was one of those guys we said, but just hasn't been the same thing.
Yeah. If for some reason McCown starts, then you might pick him up.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, you don't drop him and don't regret it.
If you still had Chris Ivory, he had a nasty shoulder injury on Sunday. He's probably going to be out for the foreseeable future, so you can drop him.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that.
Yeah, he had to like be rushed to the trauma center at the emergency room.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it was bad. Martavis Bryant. A lot of guys thought with Cooper being traded, Martavis Bryant was going to step up. He is like 4th on the team in targets since then. Like, just he's not going to do anything.
I mean, if you didn't start Amari Cooper, then why would you start Martavis Bryant?
You can drop him.
Real quick. Got a question. I didn't want to go too far before he leaves. And YouTube. Oh, Ocean Eyes Films. Again, coming back. I appreciate it.
Boy.
He says, I haven't pre-screened this question, so hopefully he doesn't say anything wrong. Running back depth. Barkley, Mixon, Michelle, Chubb, Lewis. Who's Lewis?
Dion
Lewis. Okay, yeah. Do I trade Gronk and Mixon for AB or Julio? My backup tight end is Rudolph. Go.
Gronk is not the same guy he's been, so I don't think he carries as much weight as people think. Like he's mainly just a name now. With all that running back depth, you could stand to lose Mixon, but I really like Mixon. But if you're getting Antonio Bryant out of the deal,
Antonio Brown.
Why did I say Antonio?
Because we're talking about Martavis Bryant.
Yeah. If you can get Antonio Brown, might be a pretty good deal because you have some running backs to fill in for him. So
yeah.
I don't hate the trade.
I actually like Mixon's schedule the rest of the season. Like Ryan was saying, you have pretty good depth there, and then Michelle's coming back. Chubb's actually gotten a lot of work. Lewis, I'm not so high on. Just he's the best running back they have. But I agree. If you can get AB for it, for sure.
AB, who, as we said last week, and we did our rankings a couple weeks ago, I think he's the #1 wide receiver moving forward. He's had 2 good games since then, so if you can get AB, I'd say it's a pretty good deal.
Yeah. Much rather have AB than Julio, but Julio has been pretty solid as well. And got his first touchdown of the year.
We don't even mention him, but he got a touchdown this week.
If we're going to mention Amari Cooper, we got to mention our boy Julio.
Julio scored a touchdown. He did the thing. And he, like, willed himself. He was going to get tackled at the 5-yard line. He's like, no.
I'm getting this fucking touchdown.
Yeah.
It was pretty awesome. Saw a lot of tweets about it.
Back to guys you can drop. Talk
Oh,
about
yeah,
a
your
waste
boy.
of space receiver. Kelvin Benjamin.
That's your boy, man.
He is terrible. He's not my boy. I dropped
No,
him week 1.
No, you drafted him.
I dropped him immediately.
But you also drafted him. Can I say?
Kelvin Benjamin.
Did you see this? That if you did, okay.
The stat was that if Buffalo quarterbacks, instead of actually throwing the ball to Kelvin Benjamin, would have just spiked the ball on every single play where they targeted Kelvin Benjamin, they would have a higher passer rating. I think their passer rating when targeting Kelvin Benjamin is like 28, and the passer rating if you spike the ball is like 33.
39.
So they're literally better off spiking the ball than throwing the ball to Kelvin Benjamin.
Yeah. This is also a guy that said he did not want to practice routes with who was it that was starting? The Derek Anderson or Josh Allen? Yeah.
This is also the guy that said that the Panther, like everything in there was Cam Newton's fault, and well, Panthers are rolling, and Kelvin Benjamin is terrible. So yeah,
Kelvin Benjamin's also rolling.
He's slow. Basically the only thing he can do is catch a deep ball, because if you try to hit him with a short route, he's not quick enough to get out of his break, and like the defenders are just all over him.
He ain't fast.
He ain't fast, but he's slow.
But he's slow. Real quick again.
2 more.
Sorry, Ocean Eyes. I don't know. Let me make sure this is a question. He said he loves Mixon. Just want to add some wide receiver power for the playoffs. Thanks, guys. Yeah. Okay. Pretty much agreeing with this. And he said that's what I was thinking, Ryan. He agrees with you.
Ocean Eyes. He's a loyal Instagram follower.
And he was on the podcast last week too. I think I mentioned him. All right. We lost Ryan. First time this podcast we lost Ryan. That's good, because last week it was about 3 times. What I think he was going to say was...
not this
okay.
Like,
all right.
No.
I was about to move on to the next segment, but you came in at the right time.
I don't know if I got it out, but I said, Ocean Eyes, appreciate the support. Loyal Instagram DMer there.
Yeah, we got that part.
2 more guys in Dropsville are Kenyon Barner and Trenton Cannon. They were kind of speculative ads with the running back issues going on their teams, but obviously they're not going to do anything.
Yeah.
And their guys are coming back that they were replacing. So yeah,
that's all. Yeah, they were speculative. So don't worry about dropping them.
Okay, let's get to the.
Oh, my bad. I was reading.
Waiver claims.
I was reading YouTube.
Waiver claims. Oh, we get a question?
No, just Boney's McJonies.
Boney's McJonies?
Yeah. Don't worry about him, though.
Oh, you don't like him?
Yeah, it's Rob the Slob.
Oh, Slobby?
Yeah, old Slobby.
Old Slobby. Let's get to our waiver claims real quick. This one really, I'm going to explain my running back situation for this week, because I already told Matt and Austin and Britt and all those guys. But went into this week. As you know, my running backs have been an issue all year. Felt pretty good going into the week. I had Chris Carson and Latavius Murray. At the time, they had not said that Dalvin Cook was going to be playing, and Chris Carson was fully healthy. Get about halfway through the week, had to pick up a running back to start because he's really low on depth. He only had Saquon Barkley and McCaffrey, and Barkley was on bye. He did not use his waiver claim, so he had to just pick out of the free agents. The guy he decides to pick up, mind you, Chris Carson is still 100% healthy, was Mike Davis. So he is starting Mike
100%?
Davis at this time.
I don't know.
No, he was no designation.
Oh, at the time. Okay.
At the time of the pickup. Get to about Thursday. Oh, Chris Carson's questionable. His hip's bothering him. That's not good. Oh,
collusion?
Shit. I can't grab his backup because the guy I'm playing, Derek, you all remember Derek. He gave me Alshon Jeffrey last year. Derek picked up my backup and is now starting him. So he might get a free starter, just luck of the draw like that. Then I get a notification. Oh, Dalvin Cook, who we didn't expect back till after the bye, they're going to let him get some carries this week. Well, that's my other starter. So I went from feeling pretty good about my situation to like, man, this is going to be terrible. And it was fucking terrible. Latavius Murray got me a lucky touchdown. But other than that, Chris Carson did nothing because the number 1 guy on our waiver list is Mike Davis, who had 22 touches. What the hell, Seahawks? What the hell? What the
Well,
fuck?
didn't Chris Carson get hurt though?
He did get hurt.
Yeah.
But before he even got hurt, they were dumping the ball off to Mike Davis. Ugh.
Well, that's what we said. Like, you can't trust Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll is Bill Belichick of Seattle.
So the reason Mike Davis is number 1 on our list, he had 22 touches, and Carson, he's questionable right now, but the hip is pretty banged up. I personally don't expect Carson to play this week, so Mike Davis might get another feature role.
Well, see, like, this injury he has right now, it wasn't even, I don't know what the word I'm thinking of, but it wasn't the same injury he had going into the game last week. So
yeah,
that means he has like 2 injuries he's worried about right now. So it's not looking good. But
no.
if you want to find a silver lining to this, it's that they are playing the Rams, and they might not be able to run the ball that much. So
well, they just showed they were getting their ass kicked on Sunday, and they just dumped the ball up to Mike Davis every time.
Ass kick. It was 19-10, so I don't want to consider that an ass kicking, but
well, they still threw it every time.
Yeah, well, which is weird because Seattle doesn't throw the ball like ever.
This year.
This year, yeah. Sorry, I should mention that too.
Okay, next guy, Duke Johnson. They had the new play caller in there, and Duke Johnson had 9 catches for 78 yards and 2 touchdowns, getting back to his pass catching role that he's had the last couple of years.
Yeah,
I actually like Duke Johnson moving forward.
Yeah, so how do you determine who makes our waiver list? Is it just percentage owned?
I'm heavily influenced by ESPN's list that they do.
Okay.
But they do less than 50% owned.
Okay, that's what I thought. So that's surprising that he's less than 50% owned, considering he probably got drafted in most leagues.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys just kind of gave up on him because he wasn't doing anything, and he's a guy that you like. If you dropped him, it wasn't really going to hurt.
No,
he's still on the same team that drafted him in our league.
Huh. Wonder. I could probably guess who that is, but I don't know. I mean, it's not a terrible decision to hold on to him just because you know what he's done in the past.
Wait, I don't see him. Where is he?
But okay, I'll mention real quick while you're looking.
Okay, yeah, kick line.
Yeah. So their new offensive coordinator used to be the running back coach, Fred Kitchens, which probably helps him out a little bit. And they're playing the Falcons this week, who are the worst in the league at covering the running back out of the backfield. So you could see another. So you're saying there might be
Duke Johnson.
Maybe.
Maybe I'll go trade kick line for Duke Johnson. You think they'll let me do that?
No. Just because. Well, okay. I mean, if they don't, I don't know. I'm not part of the trade committee this year, so what can I say? But I would let you. I'd still let you take Kamara.
Now he's kind of loaded at running back.
Who, kick line?
Yeah. He's got Kamara, Jordan Howard, who's turned it on big time the last 3 weeks.
For those that
Kerryon Johnson, who's been solid. Duke Johnson now.
Kerryon had a bad week last week, but he's been pretty solid lately. For those that follow us on Instagram, and we answer questions every Sunday, I said Jordan Howard could have a good game this week because they're playing the Bills, and the Bills suck.
And he scored 2 touchdowns.
Scored 2 touchdowns against me.
Against you. Yeah. How about our third guy, Ito Mimito? 10 carries for 60 yards and a touchdown with Tevin Coleman also going off that game. Basically, that whole offense went off against the Redskins. Ito's still hanging around as a guy that should be rostered in your league, putting up points.
Yeah. I think you'd agree with me saying that he's probably like the Tevin Coleman of last year. He's kind of like so Tevin Coleman took on Devontae Freeman's role in kind of a way, and Ito's taken on Tevin Coleman's role from last year.
Basically, he's a guy. He's a for sure backup that you could actually maybe play. There's only a few of those guys in the league. He's a
flex play at best.
Yeah.
At least I would say. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
Yeah, I'd say that. Maybe it's a running back 2 on my team, but
he might be this week. Honestly, we'll see. Check with us on Thursday, and he's probably a running back 2 on Ryan's team.
We'll see. Matt, your new boy, MVS, Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
God, I hate typing his name.
Geronimo Allison now being out for the season. Valdez-Scantling, Matt plugged him in this week looking for a huge number. Didn't get that huge number, but still had a good game.
Got 13.
More than 100 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers seems to like him, so.
Yeah, you like him, but he's kind of there. I like comparing people to other people that are all already relevant, and he's kind of like a Deshaun Jackson of the Packers, but with a little bit more targets.
Since he started playing, he's gotten 16, 12.8, 13.5, 12.6.
Yeah. He's had at least 100 yards or a touchdown in 4 straight games.
Yeah.
And now Geronimo Allison's out, so it definitely. If you're in need of wide receiver help, without looking at well, actually I'm looking right now, but he's probably the best wide receiver you can grab off the waiver wire.
Yeah, I think he's got a solid floor. So.
Yeah.
Adam Humphries, we don't really need to talk about. We already hit on him, but we said 38 targets last 5 games. It's on a pass-happy offense.
He's
the
white.
Thing with him is that he could easily get like 2 points next week. So.
Yeah, but that's a solid 2 points. He's getting that 2 points for sure.
And the guy that Matt compared him to is on our list, Willie Snead the fourth. He had 7 catches again this week. He always gets those targets and catches.
I'll tell you,
a lot with him. One of these days he's going to catch a touchdown.
And then he's going to be picked up for sure. He's had 7 games where he's caught between 49 and 60 yards.
That's impressive.
If you're talking about floors, that's a solid floor right there. I would have picked him up.
PPR, like solid.
Oh yeah. He's going to get you a solid 8 points for sure.
Yeah. He's last year's Lamar Miller.
Solid, flex 2 play.
Flex 2. If you play 2 flexes.
If you play 2 flexes, it's a solid flex 2.
It's a solid wide receiver 4.
Yeah. All right.
Tight end. He had a good first week back last week, or 2 weeks ago. Then he was on bye this last week. Colts are off their bye, so Jack Doyle.
Gotta mention
one
it.
of Andrew Luck's favorite targets. He had 7 catches in week 8. He is a guy that might be a top 10 tight end moving forward now.
You know what I'm going to say, though, right? I've said it every single week since we brought him up.
My boy.
In a way, he looks like you.
So yeah.
If there was one reason to pick him up, because of that reason only. He was a top 10 tight end last year. So if you're struggling for tight ends, pick him up. I think he's only less than 50% owned because of Ebron this year. People that picked up Ebron probably. Oh yeah, that too. But people probably dropped him like, oh, Ebron's going off. They're gonna feature Ebron more. So.
Okay, next the guy that I like going forward, mainly because the guy in front of him, I'm not the biggest fan of, but Elijah McGuire of the Jets. His first week back this week, he had 10 touches. He's a guy that had some explosive weeks last year. So, like I said, the guy in front of him is Isaiah Crowell. It's the only thing standing between him and the carries. So,
you're saying
he
what?
could easily start getting some more touches.
I can't hear you. What are you saying?
Isaiah Crowell sucks.
What? Sorry.
He sucks. How many points did Crowell have?
He actually
6.5.
That is better than my other.
Better than last week.
Yeah. Jets just can't run the ball. Jets are just terrible at offense.
They can't throw the ball either.
They can't throw the ball. They have no wide receivers. You don't. Like we were talking about Baltimore. Like Baltimore, do you have any starters from that team? You don't have any starters from Jets. They might be a worse Baltimore.
They are like very similar to Baltimore.
Yeah, decent defense. Well, Baltimore has a better defense. They're just a poor. They're just a poor man's Baltimore.
Yeah,
that's really what it is. About 5 running backs on both teams.
Yeah. Next guy, Danny Amendola, back on the list. He has 31 targets his last 4 games. Pretty solid floor from him.
Yeah, I was going to say I bring up Willie Snead a lot, and this is the Dolphins' Willie Snead.
Yep.
With Brock Osweiler thrown into him. So
Brock Osweiler throwing on the ball.
I'd rather have Flacco.
Okay, Traquan Smith. We talked about him a lot being maybe the number 2 guy in New Orleans for now, although they are working out Des Bryant. God, I had the list. Des Bryant.
What are you trying to think of?
Brandon Marshall and Kamar Aiken.
We're just talking about old-ass wide receivers?
3 receivers.
Oh.
No, they worked them out yesterday.
I thought I saw Brandon Marshall getting
today.
worked out by... Was it the Jets?
The Lions.
Lions, that's who it was, yeah.
But yeah, apparently Brandon Marshall was brought in today by the Saints with Des Bryant and Kamar Aiken. I don't know if they're going to sign any of them. I don't think Des Bryant would really make sense for them. But Smith is kind of the number 2, and he caught another touchdown this week on a pass-happy offense.
Yeah, it's really just... Without that touchdown, he has 2 points, so...
Yeah.
Just think of it that way.
How about Tyrell Williams, who now has 4 touchdowns his last 3 games?
I'll just repeat what I said about Traquan Smith. Without that touchdown, he has about 2 points, so...
Talking about a couple tight ends here, Benjamin Watson has a touchdown in 2 of his last 3 for the Saints.
Yeah, it's a guy I could see you picking up if you have tight end trouble, and 70% of people probably do. He's actually been just as consistent as Gronk has. So.
And then talked about the Jets, but Chris Herndon of the Jets, he didn't catch a touchdown this week like he did the previous 3, but he did have 4 more catches this week. Just if you're really hurting for tight end help, he's a guy that's been productive. So
yeah, cool haircut too.
Yeah,
looking like Juju a little bit.
Okay,
if you're watching the stream.
How about this guy, Juju?
Yeah,
huh?
He just looks like Juju a little bit. No, I got Chris Herndon on the screen. Kind of looks like Juju. Reminds me.
How about a guy that we heard his name for the first time on Sunday for the Redskins, and he had 10 catches for 124 yards, Maurice Harris. Pretty solid first little game there.
Yeah, well, are you saying is his first game or his first solid game?
I don't know if it was his first game, but first game I ever heard of.
Apparently he's been playing since week 5, and I had no clue. But he's been taking Crowder's spot. Crowder's been hurt since week 5.
I mean, 10 catches for 124 yards.
Yeah,
damn good.
You can pick him up as like a speculative ad, but I think it helps out that Chris Thompson's been banged up. Jordan Reed, we make fun of him because he's always in a wheelchair. There was a guy in a wheelchair. Oh no! Okay, I thought Ryan got lost again. He's just not blinking.
No, there's like 2 ants like spazzing on my. Like,
what are they fucking?
They got caught in a simulation. Like they're like glitching.
That's another podcast during the off season.
Yeah.
Yeah. Redskins are seriously banged up right now. Paul Richardson's out for the season. They lost, 15 guys on their offensive line last game. And Crowder's
Somehow they're
out.
Still a pretty solid team.
Yeah. Well, they just got their ass kicked by the Falcons, so I don't know.
Oh, yeah. That's who the Texans play next.
Oh, the Redskins. I was like, we don't play the Falcons. So, might be good for us. J.J. Watt could feast.
Yeah.
You got him?
Feed him.
Did you get that ant?
Did I get it? Yeah, I'm just making... I was going to throw this stuff away, but I think this is my flood insurance plan, so I probably need to throw this away.
Ah, man, it never floods in Houston.
Yeah.
Has it ever flooded in Houston this past, year and a half?
We've been a solid,
It was...
Yeah, it actually flooded quite a few times since Hurricane Harvey.
I'm about to say, do you not remember last year? You'll be alright.
All right, I'll look at this in a minute. Last guy who we just found out earlier now has double designation. You can play him at wide receiver or running back, which makes him extremely valuable if Sony Michel wasn't coming back this week. But if Sony Michel is out for some reason, Cordell Patterson has 21 carries his last 2 games, and he scored 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell everyone to pick him up just because I want you to feel the Bill Belichick effect. That when you start him, he's going to get you 0 points.
Well,
but don't actually do
start him if Michel's back, right?
I've said before, you'd be surprised at some of the questions I get on Instagram. but we're always welcome to help you. What are you looking at?
No, I was just looking at something.
Okay. Yeah,
So
but Michelle's going to be back, so.
Michelle's going to be back, so I don't know if you should pick up Patterson. But if something does happen to Michelle again, obviously they're going to just give the carries to Cordell Patterson for some reason. So maybe a valuable guy to have just on your bench.
Yeah. If you have a bench spot open like someone does on our, well, they actually listen to the podcast sometimes, so I won't say who it is.
Yeah. We don't need to.
Mike.
So I think we're good here. Solid list of ads there. A couple maybe impact guys for the season. We're getting down to the nitty gritty here. We got about, depending on if you play 12 or 13 regular season weeks, 3 or 4 weeks left in your regular season.
Mm-hmm.
Find teams are playoff hopefuls and which teams are gunning for last place. Unfortunately, it looks like I might be heading for that last place competition unless my team can win out. Matt's still hanging in there for that championship.
We right on the border.
Yeah. As of now, Matt would be in the playoffs, so.
Yeah. Got a 1-game
Barely.
lead. Some points too. I'm guessing.
So anything else to add there?
I was gonna say, I guess, I don't know. Well, yeah. So today's the 6th. So next week we might be talking about trade deadline stuff.
Yep. Just guys, maybe you should try to target.
Yeah, guys, you should target. I think that'd be good. I know some trade deadlines, Jesus, have already happened. But
yeah, just depends on what your league does.
I reckon
next week is our trade deadline.
Yeah. So get those questions ready. I could have brought up some questions on Instagram, but we'll do that. Do that on Sunday.
Speaking of Instagram, go to Fantasy and Chill on Instagram. Follow us there. Follow us on Twitter at Fantasy and Chill. Your podcast app, Fantasy and Chill. Subscribe to that. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Fantasy and Chill. Just Fantasy and Chill, everything.
Just Google it. We'll be there.
Right, Matt? Post on the Instagram this week. He had tons of questions on that. Like
always,
there was like 6480 posts or something like that on there.
Oh yeah,
there was a lot.
Yeah, I think we answered every single one of them.
He answers those. I'm usually answering the
DMs,
direct messages, the DMs. So keep those coming. We enjoy your questions. Like we said last week, though, if you are going to ask a question about trades or who should you pick up, just throw in that screenshot of your rosters. That helps us out a lot.
Makes it a lot easier. Unless it's some ridiculous trade like
Matt,
AJ Green and Alex Collins for Kamara or something like that. You should definitely veto that.
Those two for Kamara, you should probably take it. It's a solid offer. So.
God dang.
But if Matt didn't have anything else to add, no more questions on the YouTube. We all good there?
No Bonies McJonies. Question for Matt. How do we stop the Satanists from taking over America? That's an inside joke in my other league. You can't because Alex Jones. I'll answer that. Alex Jones is taking over. Gay frogs. And fluoride turns you gay.
On that note, Beto Mimito. Is he going to win tonight, Matt?
Beto Mimito. Oh, did we find out the you got the hand again? We found out tonight? Oh shit.
Yeah.
If Beto Mimito doesn't win tonight,
Beto Mimito.
If Beto Mimito doesn't win tonight, then I will Beto Mimito tonight.
No, not November.
Yeah, that ended day 3.
On that note, we out.